afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our fourth North America, Central America, and Caribbean webinar. My name is Jackson Cruz. I am the Education USA advisor for Managua, Nicaragua, and I want to welcome each and every one of you for being with us this afternoon. This session today will give you an overview of students' eligibility when applying to financial aid to any of the 4,700 universities and 1,200 accredited colleges across the United States. So stay tuned for an overview on how we will proceed. So first, we will see what Education USA is. We'll also talk about our upcoming virtual events. And afterwards, I will proceed to explain if you are eligible or are you a good candidate for financial aid, right? And at the end, we will have a short moment, a short space for questions and answers. So thank you again to my colleagues throughout the region that are, backstage, as we call it, helping me coordinate this virtual session. Thank you to Education USA, Costa Rica, Guatemala, the Caribbean, Mexico for collaborating and helping me out, helping Education USA. So first, I want to know where you guys are joining us from. So take a quick moment to fill out the survey, all right? So where are you guys joining us from? North America, Central America, the Caribbean, or maybe another region? Let's see. We're gonna wait a little bit. So remember, Education USA is a U.S. Department of State network, and we are here. Let's see, wow. I'm gonna wait a little bit more to see where you guys are coming from this afternoon. Wow, so we have here 4% are actually from North America. Well, I'm sorry, 10%. 63% from Central America, 20 from the Caribbean, and 7% from others. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is great. This is really great. It shows your interest, and it shows that you want to prepare and get the right information when applying to any of the institutions that are accredited in the United States. Thank you so much. All right, so another question that I would like you guys to ask is, this will also help you guys prepare when it comes to applying to any of the universities. When will you graduate from high school? This year, next year, 2022, 2023, or later on? Wow, so we are viewing here some of the results that 37% will be graduating this year. 44% will graduate in 2021. And 10% in 2022. So it's really good that you are taking an interest in preparing and acquiring the adequate information when applying to any of the institutions that are accredited. So this is the right way to do it. You shouldn't wait to the last minute to see what opportunities are available or how to proceed. Remember that this is a process that may take from 12 to 18 months. So it's really important for you guys to prepare. And now that we are going through a pandemic, it's really important for you guys to see what documentations are needed or are required. So kudos to those high school students that are taking an interest in your education and, taking the time to see what you will need to do and how you will need to prepare. And one last question that I want to address. Uh, what are you doing right now with in terms of your education? How has your education changed due to the COVID-19? All right, so are you guys taking online classes? Are you on summer vacation? Some of you guys may be, depending on the academic calendar. Or are you even, which may be possible, taking in presence, or are you taking classes in your high school? So, um, it's really important that you take care of yourself right now and take the right measures and precautions because of this virus. So I see here that 65% of you guys are taking online classes, which is really good. 30% are on vacation, and only 5% are actually attending high school. So that 5%, please make sure that you take care of yourselves and take all the right measures as you attend high school, attend your classes. All right. So thank you, guys. Thank you for participating in the short poll. So remember, you shouldn't wait to the last minute. That's just one advice that I want to give each and every one of you guys when it comes to applying to any of the universities. 12 to 18 months. That it's maybe an adequate time. And sometimes students may need more depending on what opportunities they have available in their countries, right? So what is Education USA? We are a Department of State network. We are present in about 178 countries across the globe, okay, with more than 430 centers that help out students get the right information, accurate, comprehensive, and current information about studying, and whether it be short program, exchange program, whether it be you want to know about applying to a bachelor's degree or even a master's. So make sure that you visit our main page, educationusa.state.gov, and see where this center of Education USA is located in your region. As it is for all of our centers right now are closed, some of us may be going back to our offices. However, you have to keep in mind that due to the pandemic, most of us are doing virtual advising. So you may have to schedule an appointment, and I'm pretty sure that any of my colleagues from around the world, especially in the Central America, Caribbean, or North American region, will be able to talk to you through any of our platforms. So make sure that you do prepare, you write to them, you write to their fan page on Facebook so that you can get the right information. Now, we will also have an upcoming event so that you guys can see it on July 14th, which is the ins and outs of letters of recommendation. I do advise all of you guys to join us, and especially for your teachers, since they are the ones that will be writing these letters of recommendations. In case your teachers don't know English, you guys can join in and advise or provide the information to your teacher, what information to include, specific format, when it comes to your letters of recommendations. Also, on Wednesday, if you have an elder brother or a sibling that would like to know a little bit more about graduate programs and how to get the right information on financial aid, you may also share our virtual session that will occur on Wednesday at 5 p.m. CST. So for more information, you guys can go ahead and visit educationusa.state.gov, and you can locate our virtual, right now, our virtual offices, as we call it, so that you may speak to any of our advisors across the region. So make sure that you do this with due time so that you are able to prepare. Okay. So with no more hesitation, I want to talk to you guys about what you need to do in order to be eligible for financial aid. So
Jackson, can I just interrupt one quick second? Some of us are having trouble hearing you, so we were wondering if you could put the microphone closer to your mouth, because there's some kind of back noise, and a few students have expressed their worry because they really want to hear what you're saying because it's valuable information.
All right. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mom.
No, sorry for interrupting. Continue.
No. Go ahead. I'll just hold my mic like over here. Is this better?
Yes, for me that is better.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep it close to my mouth.
Okay.
All right. So when it comes to an international student, that is anyone that is not a U.S. citizen or possesses a U.S. residency, in this case, you must evaluate a budget. You must create a budget, all right? So when it comes to your financial resources, you must understand that there's an annual cost for all of the institutions, for all of the universities. In this case, you have to see what the tuition costs are, any extra fees. You have to evaluate what housing fees are, medical insurance, materials, and personal expenses, the I-20, paying for your CVs, for example. All of this you have to evaluate before considering any form of financial aid, so that you can also let your parents know that they have to be involved through this process. You shouldn't wait to the last minute to let your parents know this is what you need to pay. Remember that we are going through a difficult moment in globally speaking. So your parents need to prepare when it comes to their budget, especially now, all right? Especially when they need to cover expenses such as the airfare, for example. Sometimes a university may not provide a funding for books, and your parents may have to cover that. So that brings me to my next point, family contribution. How much is your family able to cover towards your education? So it's really important for them to get organized and see, and this shouldn't be an option that should be considered from one moment to the next. It shouldn't be from, let's say, taking lightly, okay? And also, you should know that there are other financial resources available, financial support, where you have to look for support. For example, the government may have certain financial aid help or scholarships available. So it's really important for you guys to research. Again, you can look at our main page, educationusa.state.gov, for more information on how to find these different platforms, on how to find the right information when it comes to financial aid. That's just one of the many things that we can do for you guys. Okay, so just so that you know, as an international student, most or the largest amount of aid or financial aid will come from the institution, okay, as once they admit you. As I said before, your local government may have some forms of financial aid, as it is the case for Canada, Mexico, Panama, Dominican Republic, Trinidad and Tobago, Bahamas, Guyana, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru. They may have financial aid available for you guys. Also, you may check the U.S. Embassy programs, such as the Opportunity Fund program that it's available. So these are opportunities that you may have to consider and see if you are eligible to apply. Very important. There is also, if you're living abroad, if you are a US citizen, and let's say, you're living in a country that is not the US at this moment, FAFSA, it may be an option that you guys can consider in this case as a legal or a legal alien or citizen. So do take that into consideration. Other local and global resources are non-governmental organizations that may provide financial aid or scholarships. Local banks may also provide for loans and agencies. The Organizations of American States, for example, has a loan that they have available for international students. So make sure that you go to their web pages and see if you guys can apply. As it is for undergraduate program, you can only apply within your second year. Okay, so that may be something for you guys to consider once you have been admitted to a university in the US. Now, when it comes to the types of fundings that may be available for you guys as an international student, there is one that I will recommend, and you have to check with each institution. Do keep in mind that the 4,700 universities are unique, and each and every one of them will have its particular admissions process. Some of them, however, may be able to provide tuition waivers. What does this mean? I have provided here an example for you guys. And this option may be eligible for you guys depending on your country or origin, the region or ethnicity. So it's really important for you guys to check. It will depend from institution, and it will depend on where you're coming from. For example, when it comes to your tuition, this is what it means if you are considered for in-state. Regularly, an annual tuition cost for freshmen or transfer students that are non-resident will be an annual tuition cost of about, $27,000, for example. Whereas a resident, it could be as low as $10,000 annually or per year. And you can see there also that the cost per credit is significantly different. All right, for those students that are non-resident, it could be $920. And those that are resident of a particular state, it could be as low as 346. So you really have to consider that. And if the university or institution that you are applying to may have a tuition waiver that you guys can apply to. And if this is the case, it could definitely mean a big difference to the annual cost that you will have to pay. Do know, however, that if an institution allows you to have an in-state tuition waiver, maybe some other forms of financial aid or scholarships may not be available for you guys. So do make sure to check in the small letters if what does this entail? What does this mean if they are allowed you to have an in-state tuition waiver? Now, when it comes to the types of funding that an international student may apply, okay, and this could be a financial aid package that a particular university can organize for an international student. You have the merit-based. The merit-based scholarships are those that where an international student has an academic achievement, for example, that their GPA or their grade point average, it's exemplified, or it's really good, and they may allow you to apply to this particular scholarship. What about if you're really good in sports, okay? Like soccer or American football in this case, golf or the swim team? These are options that you guys can evaluate as an international student However, do keep in mind that when it comes to the athletic scholarships, it will definitely be decided on whether what division this particular university is in order for you guys to acquire a particular sports or athletic scholarship. So do check that when applying. It's not all universities may be open to this option. Also, an artistic or artistic merit. Okay, so maybe you are good in a particular instrument, playing a particular instrument, such as the violin, the piano, and you may be part of the band once you apply to the university, or this may be something that you may consider. Okay, so the need-based scholarships for students with low income, okay, do take into consideration that not all universities offer need-based aid for international students. So you really have to see that the university is open or has this option available for you guys. Work study, it's another option that may be eligible. When I was studying in my alma mater, for example, I was allowed to, to work at the student services office and within the 20 hours per week, which is the number of hours that are allowed for international student. And then the amount of hours, they did not provided me with a check at the end of the week. Rather, they accredited this work and subtracted it from my tuition. So a lot of international students are allowed to work on campus only. So it may be an option for you guys to consider. Sometimes you may think, oh, if I go to college, I don't need to work, or I will lose focus, or, well, do keep in mind that if you work at a particular office, you may create bonds, you may create connections. It may create a room or a window of opportunities for you guys to connect with other financial aid or scholarships. So never say, or you shouldn't say no to working once you are on campus. Working on campus can also allow you to deduct from not just your tuition, may allow you for room and board, which it's a part that may be available for students within their second year, becoming a resident assistant, which is, I did not wrote it on this particular presentation. But once a student knows the campus, once the student, for example, has matured, has kept a level of your GPA, if you maintained it according to the standards set by the university, you may apply to be a resident assistant. These are students that have the maturity, for example, if you're another international or a freshman is locked out of the rooms, they may have access to the keys. If a student is not feeling well, an RA or a resident assistant may take them or call the doctor, for example. So this may be something that you will be interested or may be interested in applying once you are in your second year or your sophomore year in college. So do consider these opportunities that you may have as an international student. Now, when it comes to merit-based scholarships, a lot of universities will consider the following. And I do want to stress that these merit-based scholarships are very competitive. Remember, you're not only competing for a scholarship with students from your own country, but you're competing for these scholarships with students from all over the world. So everyone may be applying to a particular, say, particular scholarship. So, and the university committee, in this case, will consider the student overall. It's not just mainly academics. So I do want to stress out for you guys to prepare, okay? How? Having a really good GPA, a competitive GPA, for example, competitive SAT or ACT scores, And this is what I mean when I said at the beginning, you shouldn't leave things a chance or waiting to the last minute to practice for your SAT or ACT. I usually advise my kid here at the Education USA office in Managua, Nicaragua, that to practice for their SATs at least 2 hours a day, vocabulary part, math section, if they are planning to take, for example, a subject test for biology, chemistry, literature, for example, they shouldn't wait to the last minute and say, "Yeah, I'm ready," just because I know English. I'm going to take it next month. No, you should do this with time. Also, your letters of recommendations. I have seen many letters of recommendations that have come my way, for example, where the teacher stresses on GPA. Remember, when you apply or you fill out an application, let's say the Common App or Coalition, you send in your transcripts, and all that information is already stated there, in your transcript. It already states what grades you have in science, what grades you have in math, what grades you have in history. So, the teacher should mention it, but a letter of recommendation shouldn't be about, the subject. Rather, a letter of recommendation. This is just an advice, okay? Just with it, a short parenthesis. A letter of recommendation should be more about your qualities. It should be more about describing anecdotes. It should be more about letting the university committee who you are. This will definitely create a competitive profile that when a university committee looks at your profile or looks at your application form, you can wow them, you can awe them, okay? Again, your extracurricular activities, volunteer work, all of this is important. What sports you play, what artistic talents do you have? Remember, the committee will not only look at one particular area or section of you, but they will see you overall. They will see who you are as a human being. So it's really important for you guys to be competitive. It's really important for you guys to present a complete profile of who you are. Okay, you shouldn't leave things or you shouldn't leave details at chance or general information. All right. Okay. So I have the screen here. Okay, so again, competitive standardized tests that a university will look at. All right, your SAT, ACT. Again, your TOEFL or Duolingo or IELTS test. Very important. Why is this? At the beginning, if you have any of these English proficiency tests are not up to the level, you may have to do a remedial. You may have to go to ESL, and this will mean, for example, that some of these classes may not be accredited towards your major. So you have to evaluate. You have to evaluate that. When it comes to your extracurricular activities, for example, volunteer work, universities want to know that what you are bringing or what you are taking to their campus, what personal development, who you are, okay? And sometimes they will evaluate this when it comes to the form of financial aid or the type of scholarships that they may offer. Also, a strong essay. Okay? Choose a topic that appeals to you, a topic that you feel passionate about. You shouldn't just copy and paste your essays. Remember that each university may have a writing prompt particular to their institution. So some of them may be open-ended questions or free topics. So do make sure that your essay it's one that you write to impress, that you write to call the attention of this admissions committee. Okay. When it comes to the letters of recommendation, as I said before, do not focus. They shouldn't be focused on grades, and also give your teachers or your recommenders time. You shouldn't, provide them with the information or requests close to the deadline. You shouldn't say, okay, the letter of recommendation is due tomorrow or is due on Friday. You should allow them of times. You should provide them with your CV. You should provide them with a short biography, a brag document that is also available on College Board, and it has specific instructions on information that your teachers or recommenders can use when writing a letter of recommendation. Sometimes a letter of recommendation will bring the university committee or the admissions committee into the student's world. And believe me, it plays a big difference when it comes to the admissions process or even acquiring any form of financial aid. Now, when it comes to the CSS profile, what is the CSS profile? A lot of international students may come into a big surprise when filling out the Common App. Now, the CSS profile stands for College Scholar Services. And this is available for about 400 colleges and scholarships that may be open for you guys. So if you are completing, for example, the Common App, this is a document or a form that you will have to complete, all right, in order to provide the university a detail of your finances, your parents. Sometimes, if you're living with a legal tutor or guardian, they will have to file this information for you guys. So make sure that you complete this information so that the universities can consider it when it comes to granting any form of financial aid. All right. And so when do I complete it? Usually before the 1st of October. It will vary, the dates will vary each year, but the earlier you have it filled out and complete, the better. Remember, the Common App, it's a very complex document, and you shouldn't leave it to the last minute. You shouldn't leave it a chance. You have to provide a complete information of your finances, your parents, or your tutor. So make sure that you are able to complete it. And also, what is there a price on it? Usually there's a $25 fee for the first report and 16 for any reports afterwards. So make sure that within your budget, if you are applying, let's say 5 institutions, you have to also include this fee into your budget. All right. A lot of students at the end or when they are completing this process usually don't take into consideration the CSS profile. So it's only for you guys to keep your heads up. Now, within the process, you have to also create an account. You have to sign in, okay, complete the application. Also, keep guard for deadlines. When the deadline for a particular university is due. Very important for you guys to keep a calendar. I know that nowadays, with all you guys millennials, you guys keep a calendar on your iPhones or your phones and whatnot. So make sure you keep a really good organization of what you have to do and when you have to submit a lot of these documents. You don't want to rush. You don't want to do things at the last minute. You want to provide a very, you want to provide complete information as to who you are. Okay. Now, these are just some recommendations when it comes to an action plan. Remember, you shouldn't lay all your eggs in one basket when it comes to financial aid. Some universities may provide or grant you a partial financial aid. Some of them may provide you, depending on your profile, full funding. So you really have to do your research. Now, I will recommend for you guys to create a list of 5 to 10 universities. Okay, get all the applications and financial information from each may be individual. If you guys can, to know, I know that right now it's a little bit difficult, but you guys can take virtual tours. You guys can see what a campus looks like, see the rooms, cafeteria, okay, the different recreational areas, so that you get to know where you will be living. Also, take into consideration the climate, okay? For example, if for personal expenses, if you have to buy the right clothing, the right garments, boots, thermal gear, for example, jackets and whatnot. So make sure that all of this is considered when, seeking an institution or applying for a university. Make sure that you evaluate what these admission requirements are. Make sure that it has the major that you're interested in studying, okay? And also what types of financial funding each of these universities offer, okay? And evaluate and talk to your family what contribution they can give in the applications process. Also, is it the option realistic? You really have to ask yourself that. Sometimes, you may have dreams, and it's good to have dreams, and it's really good to aim high, but if you really have to have your feet very well grounded, okay? Keep your choices real in this case. Talk to your parents or your legal guardians, and also of your intentions of studying in the United States. Create a budget. And one of the options that I always give my students here or my advisees is contact your nearest EducationUSA office. You can find it by going to educationusa.state.gov, and within the search engine you can see where our offices or our centers are located. And I'm pretty sure that any of my colleagues from around the globe will be able to advise you, will be able to help you and guide you through this complex process. Now, when it comes to evaluating an annual budget, okay, do take into consideration also that your standardized tests will have a fee. So you really have to include that there. Application fees, sometimes you may be able to get a fee waiver, for example. There may be fees for translation, certificates, for example, couriers, how you're going to send some of these original documents to the institution. Okay, the CSS profile I already mentioned that it has for the first report is $25, and each additional one may be $16. Also, some universities may consider an admissions deposit in order to provide the I-20 or provide proof or financial support. Okay, so also your passport, visa, and CVs. And room and board may or may not be included in a financial aid offer from an institution. So you really have to evaluate this. Living expenses. Remember, when you're traveling, there may be field trips. You may want to get to know the city. So you really have to prepare with, personal expenses. Also, consider insurance and how much or what this insurance will cover. For example, when living in the United States, when living in a campus. Vaccines. Some states may require international students to have particular vaccines, and depending on the country of origin where you're residing, the fees from these health departments will vary. Some may be expensive, or you have to also consider some of these vaccines into your budgets. Books and supplies, as I said before, may or may not be included in a financial aid offer. Transportation, let's say maybe your university is outside of the city and you want to go to the city and visit museums, get to know the state where you're living a little bit more. Consider all of these expenses when evaluating studying in the United States. Okay? And also identify ways in which you guys can reduce cost on campus. One of the ideas that we also suggest, renting the books or buying them. So look for scholarships that are available or, depending on the areas of study. So do take the chance to research, do take the opportunity to know. And if you do not know where to start, you can always contact one of the Education USA's advisors in your country, and they will be more than happy to help you and guide you through the process. Okay, so one of the things is research your real options. Keep your family involved throughout the whole process. All right? You shouldn't leave them aside. You shouldn't, come to your parents at the end of the process and say, hello, surprise, I was accepted as this university. What if, you do have, the right funding, but your parents are not really prepared with a real life budget, okay? Exhaust or, all your options, all your available options. Have a plan A, B, and C. Also invest in your education. What does this mean? Prepare for any of the standardized tests. Sometimes they are very meaningful when it comes to acquiring funding or scholarships. Also visit the nearest Education USA office. You can find out more, as I said it previously, at educationusa.state.gov, and see real options. I'm pretty sure any of my colleagues will be able to tell you, if these opportunities are real for you, or may bring a point of view that you probably did not consider. So there are 4,700 universities accredited in the United States, and one of them will be for you. There are options available. However, it is a long process, and you shouldn't leave it at chance. You shouldn't leave it at the last minute. So contact any of the offices, any of the advisors to seek for help. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Jackson. Yes, we have a few questions here. The first question is, what is I-20 and the S 2019?
Okay, so the I-20 is a document that the Department of State uses for international students, and this is the one that the university sends to the students so that they can schedule the interview at the U.S. Embassy and acquire their F1 visa. So it is a document to process the F1 visa at the U.S. Embassy. Okay, and so it is a document provided by the universities.
Thank you. We have another question here. Why the tuition cost is different for resident and non-resident students?
Why the tuition is, I'm sorry?
Is different for resident and non-resident students?
Well, this would also have to do, for example, with being able to pay taxes within a state. As you already know, for example, if a resident lives in Florida, for example, the parents may have, they pay taxes to this particular state. So they are already, if they're going to a state college, they are already paying for this. And that's why the tuition costs may be less than those that do not live in this particular state. So when someone else, let's say from New York, wants to apply to Florida, obviously, they are not paying Florida taxes. So it could be a significant difference if you're not a resident of a particular state.
Thank you, Jackson. We have another question. Can we receive financial aid of various types and combine them?
Can we receive financial aid of what?
Of various types, different types, and combine this financial aid?
Okay, so it would definitely depend on the institution. As I said in one of the slides in the presentation, you can have a financial aid package, okay? Depending on the profile that you present, depending on the particular characteristics that you have, the university will allow or tell you sometimes you can apply for this particular scholarship and maybe you have a merit base that was already provided to you. So this will definitely be defined by the institution if you're able to combine these scholarships or have a complete financial aid package.
Thank you, Jackson. We have another question. How do you get a full boarding scholarship?
How can you get a full boarding scholarship?
Boarding scholarship.
Okay, so this will definitely, a full funding scholarship, this will definitely have to do with your profile, and depending on if the institution has this financial option open or available for international students. So what I would do or what I would advise is that once you have a list of institutions, go to the section where it says financial aid, and they will usually have a list of scholarships available specifically for international students. Sometimes some of these scholarships or financial aid packages are not posted or are not listed within their website. So what I also advise is for the international student to go ahead and write to the admission officers and say, ask them directly what other scholarships or what other financial aid opportunities are available, for me. Let's say I live in Nicaragua as a Nicaraguan student, or as a Costa Rican, or as a Panamanian. So it is always important that if it's, like I said, exhaust or go through all your options. If the information is not listed, go ahead and ask. That's why, the admission committees are there to answer your questions. So it is always good to check every single detail within these platforms. And if it's not there, go ahead and ask.
Thank you, Jackson. The next question is regarding the SAT or ACT test. And they are asking which one is more useful or widely accepted for universities?
Okay, so which one is more useful and which one is more accepted, or which one is accepted by most universities? Again, this will definitely be, it will depend on your major, okay? It will depend on what the university asks or what the university requires. Some universities may take both. Some universities may just take the SAT or the ACT. So again, definitely this option of presenting any of these standardized tests will be defined by the institution, will be defined by the university. But let's say that you are applying for, let's say, engineering, okay? And in this case, a university may ask for a subject test or on math, for example, or a particular area. Okay, so it will definitely be defined by your major, and it will be defined by the institution. And sometimes a particular financial aid scholarship or a scholarship may tell you you need this particular subject test of ACT or SAT to apply for this scholarship. So which one is more useful? It will depend on the institution. It will depend on your career or your major, as we call it, and the opportunities that will be available.
Thank you, Jackson. The next question. I'm already studying at a college in the United States, and I have plans to transfer at the university in spring. So I would like to know how to apply for a scholarship or how to get a loan.
or how to get a loan. Well, let's take each question separately. Well, you will have to check, first of all, if the institution, you're able to transfer your credits, all right? That's the first thing that I will look at. If you will not lose that many credits, that's something that you have to evaluate. Also, check that the institution has what sort of financial aid package they can offer for you. Last week we had webinars that you guys can go ahead and check on the Education USA Guatemala on consortia and the different opportunities where students can transfer by either the 2x2 or after completing a year and so on and so forth. So there are opportunities available, but definitely transferring to a different state will definitely have certain repercussions, or may have different possibilities that when it comes to a transfer student. In this case, there may not be a full funded scholarship available for you guys as a transfer student, or you may not be able to transfer all of your credits depending on the institution, depending on the affiliation that these institutions may have with others. So it's really important for you guys to evaluate if you're able to transfer your credits and the type of financial aid that this other university has for transferring students. And the other part of the question was?
How to get a loan also for a transfer.
How to get a loan. As an international student, you must have a co-signer that it's a legal resident or a US citizen, unfortunately. I know that some institutions may have these opportunities available, but you will have to check with each institution. Each institution may have certain guidelines for international students into getting a loan from a bank or even getting a loan from them alone. So you will have to check what requirements are needed if you need a co-signer in this case that will guarantee that this loan will be paid or forward, will be paid back once you have completed your studies. So always make sure that you check what the requirements are with each institution when it comes to a loan, because it may not be something that it will be accessible to international students per se. But it's an option.
Thank you, Jackson. The next question, the Cambridge test can be another option for financial aid?
The Cambridge test? You broke up. The Cambridge test what?
Can be another option for financial aid.
For financial aid. Okay, so it will depend on the institution and if they are able to accept that test. So definitely, you will have to check with the institution that you are applying, and if they are able to take it for the even admissions.
Thank you. The next question, I'm going to provide a short answer. Do the letters of recommendation have to be in English? The short answer is yes, but I don't know if Jackson, if you can share again the slide 6 where we have the information of the webinar in and out of letters of recommendation. So people that are interested in knowing more about letters of recommendation can get into in the webinar tomorrow.
Yes, we will have on July 14th at 3:30 p.m. CDT time, another webinar on letters of recommendation. So I will invite each and every one of you guys that are here today to join us, because it's really insightful, and I'm pretty sure that you will learn a lot on letters of recommendation. And yes, they have to be in English. However, I have come across sometimes universities that may have a Spanish-speaking admission officer, but this is very unusual. Okay, I wouldn't recommend you guys doing that. I usually tell my students, translate your letters of recommendation, you know, by an accredited source, by an accredited institution, or if your teacher does speak English, have them write it in English. But they usually, yes, they have to be. That's the short answer. Thank you, Elvira. They have to be in the English language.
Thank you, Jackson. Next question. Does having more cumulative college credits increase your competitiveness for a scholarship in the absence of the ACT or ACT, especially if you can show a bit of rigor in your coursework?
Definitely, I will say that. But remember that if you're transferring your credits or you're transferring to another institutions, you will have to check on what sort of financial aid package will be available to you as an international student. And definitely will have to be on the rigorousness of or the credits that you are taking right before transferring in this case.
Thank you, Jackson. The next question. Your age affect the way university councils see or prefer a student? Do they take that into a consideration in applications? I'm 25, for example, for an undergraduate degree.
Okay. Yes, that's a question that I do get a lot here in the office, especially with the students that are late bloomers or you know, they want to, you know, apply later on. So I will say that usually it's not, age will not play a difference in the admissions process for universities in the US. I myself, when I was in college, studied with a lady that was 78 and graduated in my class. So that comes to show that age doesn't really play a difference when it comes to the admissions process or even, you know, applying or accessing the opportunities of higher education in the United States. So I would definitely say that, you know, being 25, you know, will not play a difference when an admission officer looks at your application. What they will see, it's the student overall, what documents you are able to provide, your competitiveness, for example, your letters of recommendation, you know, your transcripts. They will look at the student overall. They will not see age as it is sometimes perceived in some countries.
Thanks. Do you think merit scholarships will be merely based on GPA due to the COVID-19 outbreak, which has affected education all around the world?
Oh, hold on, I am having issues with.
Okay.
Hold on, and you can repeat that. I'm sorry, this is my AC. Sometimes plays a weirdness. Okay, thank you. Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Do you think merit scholarships will be merely based on GPA due to the COVID-19 outbreak, which has affected education all around the world?
Okay, so a lot of universities have updated themselves and they do understand what is going on. It's a pandemic that is affecting us globally. And so they have, you know, they are now considering all the different options when it comes to the different standardized tests. So I will say that you check with each institution. Each institution is still open to receiving international students from around the world, and the United States does want international students to apply. So it will affect maybe when you can apply. As we already know, right now it's a bit different, but the opportunities are there and are open. So I will definitely say that the merit-based scholarships are still there, depending on the institution. And And I'm sure that all of the universities want international students to apply.
Thank you. If I apply to a university that gives need-based aid, does that mean that I will get a full scholarship?
Like I say, when it comes to need-based, it may not be open to all national students, and it will definitely depend on the institution. It will definitely depend on the profile and if this university is open on providing a full funding scholarship. So not all universities have this option available for international students. So that's why I do recommend for you guys to research, to check within each of the areas on the different platforms when it comes to this specific or financial aid opportunity. So it's very difficult in this case to say which one, because we don't, it's a general question, but definitely if you do your research right, I'm pretty sure you will be able to find that right fit, or that institution that may be able to provide a full funding scholarship depending on the needs. However, do keep in mind that there are expenses, that there are fees that as an international student you will need to cover, that you will need to be responsible for. And I mentioned this briefly. You have your airfares, vaccines, insurance, for example, personal expenses for traveling. So do keep that in mind. Okay, when you have a need-based scholarship, it doesn't necessarily mean that the university will cover your plane ticket or your airfare, for example. So do keep a budget and realistic options, realistic choices.
What if I don't have a very high level of English? Will this be a big problem?
Okay, if you don't have a high level of English, do know that you will have to present English proficiency examinations such as TOEFL exams, Duolingo, IELTS, and the universities will use this to see if you are fit for the classroom, for a classroom setting. Okay, if you don't have an adequate or a proficiency in English, you will have to be placed in an ESL class. You will have to be placed, to level up your English. And so some of these classes may not be accredited towards your major, towards your career. So I will definitely advise for you guys to, study and, acquire that English proficiency so that you're not, placed in an ESL. But if that is the case, there are many universities that will allow or will provide a form of financial aid or maybe partial scholarships for you to study at their institution and learn English in this case. And then you guys can continue your study, continue your major within their institution. So it is definitely an option, but you really have to see what options are available at each institution.
How can I take the SAT?
How can I
take the SAT?
SAT. How can I take the SAT? You can go to collegeboard.org. Right there, you can create your profile, log in. Okay, just basic information such as providing your full name. I will also advise to have an email that is your full name, last names. Usually students will a formal email per se. Sometimes students will have let's say Darth Vader 95 or at gmail.com, for example. And so remember that your email within your college board, for example, will allow you guys to send these results once you take them to a particular university. So imagine if the university committee all of a sudden seeing Darth Vader 99 at gmail.com, who is this kid? I'm just joking. But make sure that you do have a formal email, and that and then this platform, it's so helpful because it has a lot of free resources. It has the question of the day. It has writing prompts that you can practice. It has about 8 to 10 full tests that you guys can take to practice. I will advise, I always advise, for example, my opportunity grantees to take a full test every 3 weeks or every month, so that they can get used into the habit, and they can see the vocabulary, they can see the sort of writing, the questions, the particular sentence structures, or even practice for their essays. So it has math exercises that you can do on a daily basis. So it is before you have to take the SAT, which has a fee, by the way, you can practice every day, and it's completely free. There's also Khan Academy that has the full test for you guys to practice, and it's also free for you guys to use, and it's also linked to collegeboard.org for you guys to practice for the SAT.
Thank you, Jackson. If I get a scholarship and the institution has economic problems, can they take me off of this scholarship? Can they take the scholarship?
Can they take the scholarship? That is a very particular question. It will depend on the institution, and I cannot really answer that. But I had a case where the institution had provided a scholarship, and then they had financial issues, and then the scholarship was withdrawn, was taken away from the student. So it may be, it will depend on the institution, but you really have to evaluate your options in this case. There's not much I can say about that, because this question will definitely have to be answered maybe by the admission officers at a particular university in this case. So it's a very particular question, I would say.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions more. Does having a scholarship in high school help in any way to get scholarships in college?
Okay, so this will also have to be with the sort of profile that you are presenting to an institution. It has definitely helped out some of my grantees, some of the kids that I have advised. It is not a guarantee, okay? That's not what I'm saying. It's not a guarantee that if you had a scholarship in high school, you will definitely get a full funded scholarship at a higher level or at a university level. Okay, but it'll definitely show it will definitely show what a hardworking student you are, and also how committed you are to your studies. And if you keep this scholarship throughout your whole career in high school, it will definitely show commitment to a university and show them that you are in for a win, that you are in to complete your studies, and that you will not neglect your GPA. Okay, that you are there to complete a major, and definitely, I will definitely include this in your CV if you have a scholarship, and I'm pretty sure that it will impress any advising committee at a university level.
Thank you. I have this question. If we have already started a license study, I'm guessing undergraduate degree, can we participate? I think he's asking if he can find financial aid even if he already started an undergraduate degree.
So if you're let me get it. So if you're studying in your country of origin, you already started your major and you want to transfer, can you get financial aid? Is that it?
Maybe. The question reads only
okay.
If we already have, if I already started a license study, can we participate? That's the question. So I'm guessing he already started an undergraduate degree in his country, and is asking if he can find financial aid in the United States transferring maybe.
Okay, yes. So what I will advise is that to evaluate your options for transfer students is, it's very competitive, and most likely each university will have their admissions policies when it comes to, providing financial aid to transfer students. It will depend on the amount of credits that you have. For example, I am known that, first or second year is still an option, but if you are within your last year, your senior year at a university level, and you want to transfer, you want to apply for financial aid, this could be very difficult. So I will say that to evaluate your options, to do your research, and see what the university has to say. First, transferring your credits, and second, what opportunities they have for financial aid for a transfer students. It's very particular in this case. There's limited amount of financial aid available.
Okay, what is a good SAT score in order to apply for financial aid?
What's a good SAT score? Okay, definitely will depend on the type of scholarship or financial aid package that you're applying. A lot of universities have their set scores. Some of them may be as low as 450. So definitely will be defined by the institution. However, it has been my experience that those students that score 650 and above get a better opportunity of acquiring, a good financial aid package. And it'll definitely depend on the institution. And remember, when the institution looks at a student, it's overall. It's everything that a student provides them. Like I said, letters of recommendation, standardized tests, extracurricular activities, volunteer work, your essay prompt. So it's the student globally. It's not just one particular area. So sometimes your GPA may not be, you may not think that it's competitive, but you really have a good SAT score. This will complement or will balance out. Maybe, that year wasn't a good year for you, but it shows your SAT score, it's high. If it's high, for example, will definitely balance this mishap.
Thank you, Jackson. Is the opportunity to find a scholarship closed for this year? I'm guessing for starting this fall.
In the fall, well, some universities still have the rolling on basis, which means that some may still be open to apply and provide the right amount of information. So it will definitely depend on the institution. And like I said, rolling on basis means that the application process is open throughout the whole year. Some universities, you may have to have applied maybe 1st of November 2019, for example. So that opportunity close. So you may have to apply in November 1st, right now, 2020, in order to start in 2021. So each university is definitely particular when it comes to their deadlines for the admissions process. So you have to check on the university that you're interested in applying.
Okay, and the last question is also regarding the higher cumulative college credit. How do you indicate that in your application form so you can increase your competitiveness?
How can you include in your what? I'm sorry, can you repeat?
In your application form, how do you include in your application form that you have a higher cumulative college credit?
Okay, so in the Common App, this is reflected on whether you're taking IB courses or AP classes, or honor studies courses. So it is an area within the application that you are able to fill in, okay? And it also will be supported by your transcripts. Your transcripts should reflect okay, if you have AP, IB, or honor courses. So, and this is provided by your school and by your transcripts, by the way. So the Common App is one way that you can, that the student can reflect it, but it also has to be supported by your high school through your transcripts.
Thank you, Jackson. That was the last question.
Thank you, Elvira. Thank you so much. So I want to thank my colleagues that are, backstage helping me out with this webinar. And, wow, we think it's a little bit past the hour. So I wanted to invite each and every one of you guys to participate in our upcoming webinars, ins and out of letters of recommendation, which will be July 14th at 3:30 p.m. the CDT, and also each week we call it Webinars Wednesday to check all of this information that Education USA is virtually providing on this time of pandemic. Education USA Stay at Home, so that you guys can access the right information, and so that you are able to evaluate your real life options in this moment of health crisis. So thank you so much, everyone, for being with me today, and the whole Education USA team from the Central America, North America, and the Caribbean regions. I want to wish you guys to have a great afternoon. Thank you so much.